Hi modern yogis, welcome to today's practice. In this video, we're going to explore the concept of Vinyasa. It's a Sanskrit word that simply means linking breath with movement. Although simple, it's a truly powerful tool that's foundational to many types of yoga. It synchronizes the flow of our breath with the movement of our body so that we can truly be present and experience each shape and our reaction to each shape in a mindful way. We'll start by breaking down the 4 key poses that integrate into a vinyasa. We'll start with plank, chaturanga dandasana, upward facing dog, and then downward facing dog. After we look at the anatomical and energetic key points of each, we'll integrate those movements and discuss how the flow of breath creates a truly powerful connection between mind and body. Then we'll go on to some modifications so that no matter how you're feeling that day and where you are in your practice, you can experience it to your fullest in a safe manner. Let's begin with plank pose. Hands are going to be spread wide, wrists stacked directly under the elbows and the elbows stacked directly underneath the shoulders. So we've created a perpendicular line with the bones in our arms. If you are comfortable here on your knees, you can absolutely stay, but for a deeper experience and a more challenging option, you can tuck the toes and then lift the knees and press the heels away. What we're looking for in either shape is a nice strong line from the crown of the head back through the heels. We want to lift the abs up and in, pulling navel towards the spine to protect the back. Press down through every knuckle in the hand to protect the wrists. Nice softness through the elbow. And then we're going to engage our thighs and our glutes because tight is light. Whenever you want to hold yourself away from the earth, you want to squeeze the big muscles so that you have control over the shape. The second pose we're going to work with is chaturanga dandasana. It's basically the bottom of a tricep push-up. For alignment here, we start in that plank, and at the bottom we want our elbow to come to 90. The top part of your arm will be parallel to the floor and the elbows are pulled in nice and tight. What we don't want them to do is flare out because that can compromise the shoulder. So again, from knees or toes, abs are lifted up and in. We're just gonna lower with control, elbows drawing in towards the body, and we stop when they come to 90. The body's one nice long line, thighs are still squeezed, abs are still tight. You can absolutely be here on your knees. Third pose we're gonna look at is upward facing dog. So the top of the feet are gonna press in the mat. Sometimes I see students keep their toes tucked under, and that's really not gonna give you the full expression and allow you to feel the pose as it's meant to be. From the bottom of that push-up, we're gonna press through the palms, pull the chest open and forward so the heart is shining, and then we're gonna squeeze the back body, lifting thighs off the floor. So upward facing dog is gonna look like this. Pressing down through the toenails, squeezing the glutes, lifting through the crown of the head, creating space and length through the spine. Once again, pressing down through every knuckle so that the wrist is protected and the arms are strong. Avoid locking out the elbows and keep the shoulders tucked back into your back pockets. From here, downward facing dog, we tuck the toes, lift the hips, and as we drop the heels, eye gaze, the drishti goes back towards your ankles, your knees, or maybe even the crease of your hips. Since down dog is technically a forward fold, it's important to draw the belly up and in, to press firmly from the shoulders, and keep those shoulders down away from your ears. The heels never have to touch the mat, but there is that energetic line down the back of your legs, so it feels like they're searching for the ground. If your mobility requires it, or if it feels better, you can absolutely put a bend to those knees, which takes some of the intensity out of the hamstrings and helps to decompress the lower spine. Also, shoulder mobility plays a big role in this. So you may look more like this, and that's okay, because in yoga, it really isn't what the shape looks like, it's how it feels in your body. Everybody has a different anatomy on the inside, and the shape of my shoulder bones is not gonna be the same as yours. So that has nothing to do with whether the pose is correct or safe or feels good. if it feels good. That's the most important thing. Now that we've discussed the 4 different asana, let's link them together and go over the breath and how it brings this whole vinyasa sequence to life. In our plank pose, chin's off the chest, body is strong, eye gaze is forward, and we inhale. Exhaling, elbows bend into chaturanga dandasana. Inhaling, sweep forward, lift and open the heart, roll the shoulders back and let your eye gaze lift. And as you exhale, tuck the toes, lift the hips, and submerge yourself back into down dog. So once again, inhaling to plank, exhaling through chaturanga, inhaling to upward facing dog, exhaling to downward facing dog. So far, we've looked at the full expression of the vinyasa with each pose in its hardest and most challenging form. But there's gonna be days that that's not you, and that's okay. Whether you're new to the practice, you've been away for a while, maybe you're returning after an injury or a pregnancy, maybe you just had a day where you slept like crap and there's no coffee in the house and you need to honor your body. You wanna practice, but you don't wanna hurt yourself and you don't wanna feel worse afterwards than you did before, right? So plenty of variations and options for every situation. Let's look at a few right now. In plank pose, instead of being on the toes, you can absolutely put your knees down. We're still looking for that line of energy from the crown of the head back through the knees. So what we want to avoid is dumping the belly out and finding an arch or having our butt way high up in the air. We still want to have that 45-degree line, yeah? In chaturanga, of course, you can leave your knees down, right? Just make sure the elbows still rub your ribs at the bottom. Still looking for that line. Instead of upward facing dog, where your thighs lift off the ground, you could leave them down on the mat with a slight bend to your elbow. Just make sure you're lifting through the crown of your head so you do have some space between your lumbar vertebrae. Also, as another option, instead of up dog, you can lower all the way down and come into a cobra. Yes? Keeping the hands light, squeezing the shoulders down and back. That transition from a cobra could move through child's pose and then tuck the toes up into down dog. Let's take a moment to look at a few different variations of this vinyasa. We'll start with the most challenging and then we'll move down to the most achievable. From plank pose, knees down, chaturanga on the knees, scoop through to a cobra, down dog. Coming forward to a kneeling chaturanga, maybe cobra, child's pose. There are going to be some days where maybe we skip the whole vinyasa. No problem. So why do we move through these poses and why do we do it with our breath? Because yoga is so much more than a physical practice. Being intentional with these transitions, learning how to do it with control and matching the fluidity of our movement with our breath creates resilience, both in our body and in our mind. From a physical standpoint, vinyasas build strength, particularly in the chest, arms, and core. It also allows for mobility in the spine, the shoulders, and the hips. From an energetic standpoint, this smooth, continuous flow helps release tension, calm the mind, and create a sense of focus. Vinyasas can be incredibly meditative, allowing the breath to guide the movement, clears distractions, and creates a deep sense of calm and peace, which will elevate any physical practice that you may have.